Hello, Simmers, and welcome to an early morning in San Francisco, California, where we are with the newly released FlyJSim 727V3 in Alaskan Airlines livery today, and we will make this plane ready for a flight from San Francisco to Portland. Now, the 727V3 is, of course, the successor of the 727V2. Everything is a little bit more polished. It's nice and shiny, nice PBR throughout the plane, both on the exterior and interior. Some new some new menus, I must say. Um, it's a complete, well, not a complete overhaul. A lot of it, in terms of how it functions, systems remain the same, but they refined some things. They refined the flight model, and it's a very nice plane to fly. I flew 2 flights with it already. And today, like I said, we're going to make an early morning flight from San Francisco to Portland. San Francisco, Southern California, Portland, Oregon. And we expect to fly the norm departure, which looks like this. Taking off runway 28 left or right on course 281 from the San Francisco VOR. 13 miles out, we'll make a right and turn for the Sausalito VOR, and from Sausalito we will fly to Red Bluff, Rogue Valley, Eugene, Oregon, Newburgh, and then finally into Portland. So let's jump into the flight deck, see what's in store for us there. Everything is completely dark, as you can see, so first thing we need to do is switch on the battery switch. And when you are in a plane, in X-plane, and it is night time, everything is dark, go to your View menu and select Aviation Flashlight. That will give you a torch, so it makes it easier for you to look for certain switches. Or what you can also do, of course, is switch off the flashlight, but put on night vision goggles. It's all included, although night vision goggles aren't too realistic in an ordinary airliner. A flashlight, however, or torch, that's always there. So let's just start by putting power to the airplane. So switch on the battery. And let's switch off the flashlight now. The first thing that you notice is the very, very nice quality of the lights in this airplane. Especially the shining surrounding, the surfaces surrounding the light bulbs are being lit very, very beautiful. So let's put the airplane on a ground power unit. Get back to the flashlight and put this one on standby power and external power engaged. Now what we can do is we can switch on the dome light for the flight engineer. But basically I like it a lot better when everything is dimmed and well lit and well, just take some time to look around this beautiful animated flight deck. But we have stuff to do, so let's get to work. First thing we'll do is we'll test the lights. There are some preset views when you buy this with your numpad on the keyboard. You can actually control this. This is the view with number 8, number 7, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, and 3, and 0 is the overview position. But anyway, let's check the lights. Of course, Boeing style, that's done strip by strip. This being one of the older Boeing airplanes, you can see that a lot of the original philosophy is still included in the more modern planes made by Boeing. which makes it rather easy to move up the ladder from older to newer planes or the other way around. But all the lights are working, so we're satisfied with that. Test the ground proximity warning system.
Glide slow. Pull up. Wind shear. Wind shear. Wind shear. Terrain. In up. Airspeed low. Sink rate. Pull up. Terrain. Pull up. Don't sink. Don't sink. Too low. Terrain. Too low. Gear. Too low. Flaps. Too low. Terrain. Glide slow. Bank angle. Bank angle. 100. 50. 30. 20. 10. 500.
Alright, so that was the ground proximity warning test. In the meanwhile, I already tested the stall warning. A lot of the test features in this airplane are now completely modeled. That's a big upgrade from version 2, where some of the switches were visible but could not be operated. That's now fixed. Let's look from the outside with the logo light switched on, the nav lights. Again, the beautiful reflection of the lights on the tarmac. Let's do a quick sort of walk around the airplane. Now look at this reflection. I'm completely in love with the design of the 727. I think it's beautiful with the very aerodynamic, of course, fuselage, but also the wings, because there are no engines underneath them, and all the well, drag factors like engines, etc., are all on the tail. This 737-like style cockpit. I love it. But anyway, like I said, we will depart San Francisco via the Gap 7 departure procedure, via norm that is. So we want to fly the 1158 San Francisco frequency or beacon on frequency 115.8 on course 281 until we are 13 miles out, and then we'll intercept the 014 radial inbound Sausalito. So let's set those two radios first. And I'll choose to put the Sausalito VOR in nav 1 and the San Francisco in nav 2. 1162 on 014. There we are. And we wanted 283 or 284, 281 on the 1158. So both VORs are identified, and once we have passed Sausalito VOR, the next one will be Red Bluff on 115.7. So that frequency is now already set in the nav radios as well. Well, that's basically the things that you have to do in terms of pre-flight for your flight plan. Of course, there's no flight management computer in this airplane, so not much to program. Just set your frequencies, set your courses and headings, and basically you can be on your way. The airplane ships with with 4 sets of manuals. That's the general manual in here, where you can find stuff on how to install, support stuff, basic explanation about certain systems, etc. Then there is the procedures document, which I can strongly recommend you to read, especially if you're new to the 727. Everything that you need to know is described in here. Cockpit flows, panels, checklists, everything is included in here. All the normal procedures, everything is completely written out. This is fantastic. This is truly study level stuff. I have to study it all myself. I'm not going to do it in this flight. But just so you know that this is included. Then there is the maneuver document, which gives you a lot of information about engine power settings, speeds in various phases of flight, ground surface stuff. One downside, the one thing that I find a little bit disappointing about V3 is that the doors are still not modeled. In the 737 or the 737-200 V3, they modeled the doors. They didn't do that in the 727. I don't know why, but I was kind of hoping that they would. So that was, to me personally, that's the only downside that I could find on this add-on. All the rest is beautifully done to very high standard and makes it a lovely airplane to fly. But as you can see in the maneuver document, there's a lot of stuff about proper approach procedures, speeds upon takeoff, landing, climb, cruise, you name it. You can find it all in this document. And there is the systems guide, which is also quite a nice document. Explains all the systems in great detail. And the fun thing is that this document is interactive. So if you look at the overhead panel, for instance, let's say I want to know more about the window heat, and I can click here and it will bring me directly to the part of the document that explains that in greater detail. If I want to go back to the front, press the arrow in the right hand corner down here and I'm back, and I can do like this one, and it makes it very intuitive and very fast to walk through this document to find the information that you are looking for. Very nice touch, very nicely done. But anyway, let's look up the QNH, which is 1015. That is set and cross-checked. So with all that underway, we will now start up the APU, which is done in here. So move this slider up. Hold it for a couple of seconds until you get the APU crank up there. You can test to see if all the lights are working. Now, by the way, you can switch on the maintenance system. If you switch that on, it will log all the flights that you make with this airplane, and after time expires, failures will occur, which makes it, of course, a lot more realistic. And it is very important, if you switch this on, to do the proper checks before every flight. Check if all the light bulbs are working, etc. Now the exhaust temperature is moving up very nicely. Let's test the APU fire system. That's done. And by the way, let's also check the engine fire. That's all set. Looking good. Now let's say we are cleared for an initial climb out to flight level 060. We are flying at an even altitude, I think. 340, yeah it is. So let's say our initial climb is 6,000 feet. So we'll switch on the fuel pumps. And let's set the weight and balance of the airplane, by the way. Almost forgot to do that. We want a zero fuel weight of approximately 60,000 kilos. Now, by the way, in the options menu, you can switch between metric and imperial weights. Being a European guy, of course, I'll go with the metric system. 0 fuel weight, so let's increase the number of passengers. We want approximately 118. So 120 passengers, that's alright. And do a little bit of cargo with it. We now have 60,000 kilos, but we are exceeding the max landing weight. It says. Total fuel is 11,000 kilos. We need 10,000, so we can have 1,000 kilos less. So let's make this 27. But we do not exceed the max landing weight as far as I know. Landing weight 63,000 kilos with a max landing weight of 70,000, so we should be alright. But let's be on the safe side, make sure that everything is blue. So weight and balance is set. We have fuel in the center fuel tank, so let's switch the boost pumps on as well. The APU is now running. If you want to set the APU to the buses, you have to close the circuit. So you move this switch up. The light will extinguish. And you set the essential power to the APU. So that's now set. We can switch the galley power on, by the way. The APU bleed is open. Engine bleeds are open as well. The packs are off. Let's take a look at the temperature. It's about 20 degrees Celsius in the forward and after cabin. That's exactly what we want. So that's fine. They are on auto. Now we want to fly at flight level 340, so that's 34,000 feet. Landing altitude in Portland will be 31 feet. So dial this down to 30. And with a flight altitude of 340, 34, the cabin altitude has to be 5,200. So dial this one down to 5,200. It's on standby, ground and auto. So this is set. Switch on the hydraulics. And basically what we can do right now with the APU running and on the bus is we can switch off the GPU. And let's pre-plan the pushback. Now, by the way, FlyJSim has implemented a feature that if you have better pushback, like I do, you only have to pre-plan your pushback in this menu. And then you can start the pushback from the cockpit view, which I think is pretty cool.
Ground to cockpit. Plan acknowledged. Call me through the menu when you are ready.
Alright. Well, let's say that we are almost ready. Let's arm the emergency lights. Auto brakes RTO. No smoking and fasten seatbelt signs are on. So let's say that we are ready to start our pushback. So I switch on the beacon light. Make sure that the gate is disconnected. And if I now want to start the pushback, I just have to go to the ground call button here. And push and hold that for about 2 seconds and then the better pushback will start. So make that
ground to cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Make that 4 seconds, by the way. But when you press and hold the ground crew button, then better pushback will start do its thing. Now before engines start, so the bleeds are open, the packs are off, we have to switch off the galley power. APU is on the buses, hydraulics are started. Now we will be taking off using flaps 15. And in here set box, that will set the box on the speed indicator.
Okay, all doors and hatches are closed, ready to connect.
You can also manually set all the bugs, by the way, but this is by far the most easy way of doing things. We need a step trim of 6.2, so that's something we can do actually right now. That should be it. And with the initial heading being 281, we can set the heading bug as well. Because 270.
So connected and bypass pin inserted. Release parking brake.
275, 280, 81, 85, 90, 95. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so let's switch on the transponder to TARA and release the parking brake and get ready for engine start.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Roger, starting sequence is 3, 1, 2. By the way, the scenery that you're looking at is Mr.X freeware scenery for San Francisco. And we are flying to Portland, which will also be Mr.X freeware scenery. Two beautiful airports, which I strongly suggest you should download from the forums over at explain.org. But anyway, let's start up the engines. Number 3, starter to ground. Monitor the N2, just like in all the other 737s and all the other Boeing airplanes. When it's above 20, you open up the fuel flow, and that will start the engine. There we go. Number 3 started, start number 1. So open the hatch, set it to ground.
Operation complete, set parking brake.
Brakes are set, clear to disconnect.
Disconnecting tow, stand by.
So above 20, fuel flow open. And finally, let's start engine number 2.
Tow is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the right. We'll see you next time and have a safe flight.
Thanks for your help. See you next time. Bye-bye. He's driving off. Above 20, so open the fuel flow. Clear signal is received. So we have 3 good engine starts. All engines are stable. So let's put the engine generators to the buses. They are right now. The galley power can be switched on again. This one can go to standby. The packs can be switched on. Fan can be switched on. Cargo heat outflow normal. Cabin temperature is still as it should. You can set the pressurization system by moving the switch from ground to flight. This will pressurize the cabin. Hydraulics are set, and with the APU no longer on the buses, we can switch it off. So let's do a flight control check. Full down, left, right, neutral and up. And the rudder, full left and full right. Set flaps 15. And we'll switch off the cockpit dome lights. Where was that one again? Oh yeah, here. We switch the probe heaters on. And with an outside air temperature of over 10 degrees. Don't think we're gonna need anti-ice, but we might switch it on when we are near the runway. Let's just see what the sky looks like when we get there. For now, this is all set and done, so parking brake released, throttle up and taxi to the runway. And of course, turn on the taxi lights. The engine sounds are pretty nice. They are in F mod, so 3D sounds. If I start hovering and I move around the airplane, you will hear the engine sounds change. And we are about to cross to runway, so let's switch the strobe lights on now, as well as the runway turn-off lights. This is where X-Plane 11 really shines with all the lights, the reflection of the lights. It's beautiful. So across the second runway. Set the flight director to heading. Now the autopilot system, by the way, is positioned here below the throttle quadrant. And I will get into more detail about that in a bit when we are flying. What is quite important is we have the switch in here. That's the master arm. And there are two things, heading and alt select on the left side of that, and especially the alt select is very important. I already set the initial climb altitude to 6,000 feet, so I can already switch alt select on. No, I cannot because the autopilot is disengaged. So as soon as we engage the autopilot, we have to press alt select. That will make sure that the plane levels off when it reaches 6,000 feet. If you don't press the alt select button, it will just climb straight through that. So flaps 15 are set. We have the auto brakes on RTO. Transponder is set and TARA. Let's make sure that it's on as well. Yeah, TARA, that's set. Speed bugs are set, V1 130, rotate 130, V2 142. Step trim 6.19 or 6.2, that's set. EPR on takeoff, or the N1 on takeoff should be 97.4 with EPR of 2.15. We have no warning lights on the flight engineer's panel. So let's switch on the landing lights already. Switch after runway turn off lights and the taxi lights. According to the flight plan, we have runway 28 left, so just stick to that, which is the first runway in here. So we can line up and wait. We have the landing lights on, strobe lights on, anti-collision and nav lights on, so exterior lights are set, flaps 15 are set.
Approaching 28 left.
Check, and the auto brakes are set to RTO. Heading is set to the runway heading. We have 2 VORs identified, so we are good to go. Lining up on 28 left.
On runway 28 left.
On the runway. So let's throttle up. It's 50% and 1. knots. V1 rotates. Positive rate, gear up. We're now 1 mile on the San Francisco VOR. We are intercepting that. Let me just fly straight and level. And now we engage the autopilot. Heading selects, alt select, and indicated airspeeds. Flaps 5. Flaps 2. flaps 1. Like I said, the San Francisco airport scenery is Mr.X, and all the other tiles is Ortho 4XP photo scenery tiles. We are climbing and the temperature is still well above 10 degrees, so let's just not switch on the anti-ice for now. Let's say we are clear to climb flight level 180. We are now 6 miles out, and at 14 miles we have to start to intercept the Sausalito VOR. So we will start to turn a bit sooner than that, approximately at 10 or 11 miles. Or as soon as this needle starts to move. Slightly ease back on the throttles. So 10 miles out of San Francisco VOR. Let's start to make a right and turn to intercept Sausalito VOR. The VOR needle is moving, so let's switch this one to nav lock. That will have the autopilot intercept the 014 radial for Sausalito VOR. Right now. Above 10,000 feet, landing lights off. Let's increase the speed to 280 knots. So let's switch the frequency for the next one. That VOR is not identified yet. So what we'll do is we'll fly after Sausalito VOR. We make a left-hand turn heading 352 until we are in range of the VOR. Which will be approximately down there. And let's say that we are clear to climb flight level 340. Pressurization system seems to work. So here we are now at Sausalito, so let's go back to the heading modes. And the VOR is identified in the meanwhile. So let's switch it over. And make that course, what was it again? 352. Let's just fly straight to it, so like that, and back to here we are. So let's release or disarm the auto brakes, and fasten seatbelt signs can be switched off now. I will open the crossfeed valves for the fuel pumps. And everything
Altimeter setting.
looks good, so let's set this to standard 1013 or 29902 in the US, of course. And I will continue the flight from here, and I'll be back with you guys as soon as we are ready for the approach preparation, descent and landing into Portland. I cannot film the entire flight, that would be too much. So see you in a bit. Hello guys, and welcome back. We are on our way to Eugene right now. We are on the stretch between Rogue Valley and Eugene, and our top of descent will be 31 miles out of Eugene. We are now 48 miles out of Eugene, so that gives me 18 miles to talk you through the expected approach procedure. We expect to land in Portland, runway 28 left. So that means after Eugene we'll fly towards Newburgh VOR, which is down there. Then we'll make a right turn for Portland. Somewhere along this line between Newburgh and Portland we'll make a right hand turn heading 104 because the 103. Because the runway heading will be 283, so we'll fly downwind, make a left turn, and then onto the ILS, the localizer, for runway 28 left. Important for us to know is that the intercept altitude for the ILS will be 2,000 feet, so we have to make sure that we are between 2,000 and 2,500 on this stretch of the approach. So far I have no intention of setting the frequency and courses already, because we are still out. Like I said, we are inbound Eugene. We have set the Newburgh VOR at 117.4 already. We have to fly there on a course of 353. Newburgh VOR is already identified. It's 108 miles out. First 34 miles to Eugene, Oregon. So it's time to start slowing down this airplane. Set the speed to 280 knots. And we'll just close the throttles. That will cause the speed to drop, and we select for the pitch selector indicated airspeed hold. And now once the needle passes the buck, you will see that the rate of descent starts to increase. And let's say that we are clear to descend flight level 100 immediately. So here we go. Let's put the passengers in their seats. Now we don't expect any problems on the approach procedure. We don't have any restricted airspace in between us, and we can check the NOTAMs for KPDX. This is all San Francisco. Destination Portland. 28 right is not for us. Taxiways closed. Everything has to do with runway 28 right. We will landing on runway 28 left. So nothing for us in here. There will be a crane. We can only get a Moxie transition on the RCT1 approach. Well, we are not flying in an RNF equipped airplane, so that's not for us. We'll just fly VORs and headings. So there's nothing new for us in there. We can take a look if we have Portland already on the map. Doesn't look like it. But Eugene is now coming up rapidly with 12 miles out. So let's dial up the heading. Let's press heading select, so we will fly the heading. Let's fly. I changed my altitude to 10,000 feet. Always press Alt select once you have changed your altitude in the altitude select window. That will make sure that the airplane will level off at 10,000 feet and not break straight through it. By the way, we have moved out of the area that's covered by Ortho 4XP on my PC, so we are now looking at the default X-Plane 11 scenery. Oh, here we are already. Let's switch the frequency to 1174 and course 347-ish. Let's make it that. Inbound Newburgh, 73 miles out. And with Newburgh being over here, that means that the airport will be in here. So let's see what the current QNH is. 6,000 feet, broken clouds, visibility more than 10, winds calm, area QNH 1013. So that's already set. Nothing for us to worry about. So I'll just continue on the descent, and I'm back with you guys as soon as we start approaching 10,000 feet. Before we do that, let's ding the flight crew, the flight attendants, cabin crew, prepare for landing. So that should do the trick for them. They have plenty of time to prepare the cabin for landing now. So I'll continue the descent, and I'm back with you guys as soon as we start approaching 10,000 feet, or anything else will happen. So see you in a bit. So here we are again. We are now descending to 6,000 feet. We have just made a turn to the right, direct for Portland. So what we will do in a second is make a turn further right, heading 104-ish. to fly a downwind for runway 28 right. As mentioned in the briefing, we are now passing 10,000 feet, so let's switch on the landing lights. Seatbelt signs were already on. The speed is down to 250 as it should, below 10,000 feet. And let's just reduce further for 240 knots. And let's start make that right hand turn for 104 right now. So dial up the heading. 95, 100, 103. Here we are. Now the frequency is already set for the ILS 110.5, as you can see in here. Course will be 283 and the missed approach altitude will be 4,000 feet. But first let's dial in 283 on the course window in here. Here we are. And we happily continue to descend 6,000 feet now. Airport should be somewhere at our 9-10 o'clock. Oh, there it is. With our runway of choice for landing. 28 left, so that will be this one. Which makes a nice short taxi to the Alaska Airlines pier at Portland, at least in the Mr.X scenery. We'll just fly a nice long final approach, approximately 12 miles. Just continue on this heading for a bit. The autopilot is definitely struggling with some weather in here. Let's see if there's any news. Still 6,000 feet, QNH 1013 and calm winds. The temperature is now well above 10 degrees. I switched on the anti-ice throughout the descent because of some clouds and some temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius, so we can now switch the engine and wing anti-ice off again. So let's set the radio altitude call out for the minimums to approximately 250 feet. Now 6,000 feet, so let's descend further to 2,000. Alt select indicated airspeed holds. And let's start in 90 degrees left hand turn any second now, heading 014. For basically our base leg and start reducing speed. 220 knots. And let's engage some speed brakes in here to maintain a rate of descent throughout this turn. And let's set flaps 2 already. We're still too fast for that, so let's reduce some speeds. Let's reduce speed 180 knots. Don't know what that alarm is. Okay, set flaps 5. Oh, we've overshoot the localizer, so let's make a left-hand turn to re-establish on that one. Probably has something to do with the speed brake and the flaps being set at the same time. Anyway, 3,000 feet. We are below the glide slope, that's always good. Altitude alert, 1,000 feet to go. Let's reduce the speed to 160. Flaps 15. And now we'll just arm the localizer. Okay, so our VREV is 128. Always add up 5 knots to that, so that's 133. The winds are calm, so that's it. Normally you would add like half of the wind to that as well. Let's increase the thrust now to maintain speeds. Because the airplane is leveling off. Pucks are set. Localizer is being captured. Let's set the heading to missed approach. Mr. Approach heading is set. Select the gear down. Let's see if the autopilot intercepts the localizer or the glide slope. And let's set that 133 for the speed buck. Flaps 20. And glide slope is not intercepted, so autopilot is engaged. Pilot has control. Flaps 30 sets. Okay, set the auto brakes to medium. We cannot arm the spoilers. Glide slope is captured, localizer established. Speed is alright, flaps 30 green, landing gear is down, locked 3 green. Mr. Approach heading is set, Mr. Approach altitude is also set. Cabin crew, take your seats for landing. So here we are, slightly low, correcting.
Approaching 28 left.
Light slope. Light slope.
Correcting.
Light slope. Light slope. $500.
Check 500 feet.
400. 300. Minimums.
Continue landing.
200. 100. 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
That was a big bounce. Full reverse. Manual braking. And vacate the runway. Switch off the landing lights and the runway turn off lights and the strobe lights. Retract speed brakes and the flaps and a right hand turn. The reason why I already clean up the airplane is that with the FlyJSim 727 V3, the replay modes, just like the 737 V3, have been installed. So you can just clean up your airplane, and then when you go to the replay mode, you will still have the airplane in landing configuration. So let's just demonstrate that. Here we are. With a nice view on Mr.X. Very, very nicely done Portland scenery. Control tower view. The only thing I don't understand is that I don't see the spoilers up here, because I had to lower them again after landing. But, well, the landing wasn't too great. I think I've got throttle too soon. Let's just see how high the rate of descent was. Yeah, that's too much. 700 feet per minute on touchdown, that's not good. It should be approximately 200 or 300 feet per minute. I don't know why the airplane didn't got the glide slope. That comes completely down to me being still quite unfamiliar with this autopilot system. Of course, I had flights with it in the past, but it's been a while since I last flown it. However, earlier this morning I flew from Portland to San Francisco. And in San Francisco, the autopilot worked fine with the ILS and the Autoland system. So it does work. I'm just a shitty pilot, so that's why it didn't work in this video. But I think we recovered quite nicely by going manual immediately. Going quite steep on the initial descent to catch up with the glide slope. That's exactly the reason why you always want to intercept it from below, so you don't have to basically nosedive to your runway. But anyway, let's find a nice gate for ourselves. I think Charlie 5 will do. So let's switch off the taxi light to not blind the marshaller. And taxi in nice and easy. And here we are. Parking brake is set. Let's connect the ground power units. That's now on the bus as well. So switch off the engines. And we can also switch off the beacon lights. Cabin crew disarm slides. Cabin crew. Doors may be opened. So here we are. My thoughts about this V3. It's a beautiful add-on. It's basically a polished version of the V2. It flies great, handles great. It's a lot of fun. You actually do have to study the manuals to get this completely right. As you saw, I kind of messed up the final approach with the ILS and the autopilot because I was too unfamiliar with the autopilot system for automated landings. However, like I said, it does work. I tried it this morning and I succeeded. Then 3D model looks excellent. I think it's well worth the money. If you don't have it already, buy it. If you already have the V2, you will have received an email from the store.xplane.org with a discount code, so you get a 50% discount on the V3 version. Anyway, that's it for this video. I hope you liked it. If you have any tips, tricks, questions, comments whatsoever, please leave them in the comment section below. And I hope to see you next time on another video. See you later. Thank you for watching and bye bye. I forgot to show you the Mr.X Portland scenery in a bit more detail. As you can see, it's not only the airport, it's also the immediate surrounding. It's a completely freeware package. You can download it from the forums over at xplane.org. And this, well, I think this airport looks amazing, especially for a freeware kit. It has the PBR in the tarmac, as you would expect from any decent airport nowadays in X-Plane 11. A lot of ground vehicles, etc. And if I switch on X-Live, you will actually have a more populated airport in terms of planes. So let's just have that loaded in for now. And here we have the other airplanes. And as you can see, with more airplanes installed, this is actually a very, very, very nice rendition of the airport. So my advice, even if you are not going to buy the 727, go download the Mr.X sceneries for both San Francisco and Portland. They are amazing, they are completely free, and they really, really enhance your simulator. So this time for real, that's it. Hope to see you next time, and bye bye.